Jacob Doty plays forward for the Ontario Reign, and he joins us now. How are you, Jacob? Doing well?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Everyone's healthy here, so hope the same for you guys. Thanks for having me.
Big, shiny new contract for you. You're coming back to the Ontario Reign. You must be happy that that is in the books, I imagine.
Yeah, definitely. It's anytime you can be in the American Hockey League or stay in the American Hockey League, it's a good thing, and I'm excited to be back for another year and, hopefully build off what I started last year and get the ball rolling again.
When guys come into the AHL on a PTO, you never really know what to expect. Could be 3 days. It could be a full year. In your case, turned out to be a full year, turned into an AHL deal last year. Was it nice to know, that what you brought to the table, the things that you do on and off the ice were valued by the Reign enough to not only sign you to a deal last year, but bring you back for another year, 2021?
Yeah, definitely. Everything happened so fast for me last year. I think I signed the PTO to come to camp maybe 2 or 3 weeks before training camp is all, and then ended up sticking and staying the whole year, which was nice. But it was nice kind of for me to show myself that I could play there again. If you look at my elite prospects or DB or whatever, I was over in the UK for parts of 2 years in the coast, and I kind of accepted myself as being a coast guy. And so when I came into camp, I had a good camp and ended up staying all year, which was nice. And, I was happy to do that, and obviously happy to be back next year.
So let me derail this real quick before we get into the rest of the hockey stuff. I got a would you rather for you. Do you watch TV? Do you watch a lot of TV? Big TV?
Some.
Okay. I have been getting into TV quite a bit with this pandemic myself. I'm watching The West Wing. I don't know if you've ever seen that one. It's good. It's good. It's older. It's good. So it's like White House, follows the White House. And there's one episode where the guys make a bet. They're like throwing rocks into a barrel. And whoever loses for the rest of the day, every time he introduces himself to anyone that he meets, if he says his name, he has to follow it up with, I work at the White House. Like he has to say that. He has to say different. So it gave me half of a would you rather that I'm going to give to you now. And Zach, I'm going to switch it up for you a bit, but you will be able to answer. So for the rest of your life, every time you introduce yourself to someone, you have to say, hi, my name is Jacob Doty. I'm a professional hockey player. And once you retire, once you're done, you have to say, I'm a former professional hockey player. You have to everyone. I don't care if you're going up to, you're checking in at a hotel and the guy says, what's your name? You gotta say, I'm Jacob Doty. I'm a professional hockey player. You gotta say, Zach, yours is gonna be a bit different. Yours is gonna say, I work for the LA Kings. All right. And whatever, for the rest of your life, whatever team you work for, whatever. Or would you rather have to drive a smart car for the rest of your life? You can't drive anything else. If you're driving, it's a two-seater, very impractical, right? Especially you're up in Montana. I don't imagine you see a lot of smart cars bumming around. So it's the smart car or the introduction?
100% smart car for me.
You're taking the smart car.
Yeah. So that full year I played in Glasgow, Scotland, in the UK, I drove a smart car for the full season. And it had...
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't think you could take one of those.
So I played for the Glasgow clan, and we our mascot was a Highland cow, like a cow with like shaggy long hair and its eyes and stuff. And that we just had big so it was a black smart car with huge purple logos of the team and a Highland cow on both sides of it.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah. So like anywhere you drove, like the team's name was on the car and the big cow. So couldn't get away with anything. But for the would you rather 100% drive a car, I wouldn't want to introduce myself like that at all.
Zach, you taking the car too?
Well, I already introduced myself as Zach Dooley. I work for the LA Kings, so I don't know if it would be that different. But in actuality, I think I would also take the smart car. Like I feel like, I don't know, like I feel like it would suck on like long drives, but I feel like those are limited. I could ride passenger and just, say I don't have a license or something if I have to.
You could drive for it.
Yeah, you'd be a passenger guy.
You'd be a passenger.
It's tough. Like you're talking about the rest of your life. I think I'd rather go the rest of my life trying not to introduce myself to people than doing the smart
No,
card.
Cam, look at also, you've played this game before that. Are we banking on that we're driving cars in 15, 20 years? Are we hovering?
Great call. Great call. Well, yeah.
Maybe there's are we using flu transportation like in Harry Potter? I don't know. There's a lot of options.
I've used that. I think I'd like a family one day, and I don't want to have to go on the road trip and then the kids get old enough to be like, Mom, why do we have to stop for 5 hours? Why can't you just switch with Dad? And then I'll say, Dad made a decision 2 decades ago. That's why. So I don't know if I want to have to explain that. So that's where I'm. All right.
I want to jump in a direction here before I forget. You played in Glasgow, and Dotes, I am a big supporter of Glasgow Celtic. Okay. And I'm wondering if you ever got to go to any of the games while you were over there.
I didn't I went to a Rangers game.
Okay.
I can't remember who they were playing, but I did go to a Rangers game, and then I also went to a Scotland versus Slovakia World Cup qualifier. That was awesome. It was really fun. Obviously, both games, crazy crowds and stuff. So, yeah.
Is that town just like based around like Celtic and Rangers? Like that's kind of how I've read about it. Like,
yeah, it is. It's there's it's wild over there. As an American, like you would get asked, like if you're out or whatever, out at a restaurant, or people would ask you Celtic or Ranger, and we were like instructed not to answer. You just say I don't support football.
It's like the craziest rivalry I think I've ever seen. Like they don't even let the fans sit in the sections like next to each other. They like block off a section because they would just like kill each other.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Yeah, when they play each other, when Celtic Ranger play each other, that's another, like we were told, like just stay home for the night. Like don't go into town, don't go out to dinner. Like it's so crazy.
I saw Green Street Hooligans once, and that's about that's about the extent of my soccer knowledge with the hatred.
Yeah.
I want to get back to a lot of English stuff. Zach, I know you're very excited to talk about the English stuff, and you can do your soccer and whatever you want. But this is interesting. You're born in Denver. You're an American.
Yes.
And you go to play in major junior. Sometimes we see it the other way around. It's common to see guys, especially ones who play in like the BCHL and the Tier 2 junior leagues. They'll come to play in the NCAA, but you just said, see you later with the NCAA. I'm going to do it the other way around. How'd that come about?
So it happened, my coach, junior A Tier 3, my assistant coach there in Yellowstone, his dad was the assistant coach in Seattle in the Western Hockey League, which is, that he came to watch me for a weekend. I ended up signing a tender with Seattle and, made the team out of camp the next year there. So that's how it happened. And for me, I just thought it was the best route, given my playing style. So, and wasn't the best student myself. So I just think that was the best route for me to go.
Gave you a more direct path to playing at a higher level too, right? Because usually NCAA, a lot of the freshmen are 20 years old, so you're playing lower level hockey leading up to that. But you kind of jumped right in at a younger age, right? Playing in the WHL.
Yeah, definitely, and and like I said, it just kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, I knew I wanted to play at a high level, but I was hoping to move from Tier 3 where I was playing maybe into the NAHL or hopefully the USHL. But then the WHL thing just kind of happened, and I went on a visit when I was 15 out to Seattle, watched a couple games, and then ended up signing the tender, like I said, and played the first couple months in Seattle that next season. So just kind of happened, and I'm very happy I made that choice. I think it turned out to be the right one for me.
I feel like as an American, I don't have an appreciation for small hockey towns in Canada. Sure. Like, I know that they're there. I know there's a ton of major junior teams, and there's Red Deer, and you played in Medicine Hat, right? Like, there's these random towns. So you start playing in Seattle, which is a very metropolitan area now, NHL city. Did it take some getting used to? You start traveling up to play all these WHL teams. You're seeing these small but very fierce hockey towns. Like you're learning a whole different part of the world, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't different for me really. I mean, being from Billings, Montana, it's a relatively small town itself. So, see, I'd say it was almost the other way around. Moving to Seattle was more of the culture shock for me. And going to high school in Seattle, and it was 7 times the size of my high school at home. So, I'd say that was the biggest shock. And then, yeah, going into those cities was cool. Again, being from Montana, not a huge hockey state, or there's not a ton of hockey, so seeing those communities be so hockey wild was cool.
You go to the WHL at 16, and at what point in your career there did you start to think like, you know what, maybe I could become a professional hockey player?
Honestly, the whole thing kind of caught me by surprise, and that might sound weird to say, but I guess I went to NHL camp in Florida as an 18-year-old, and even then, I mean, I don't think pro hockey was on my radar, or at least signing an NHL contract wasn't on my radar. I knew I probably could have played in the ECHL if I wanted to, or do that. And then the same thing as a 20-year-old when I went to St. Louis. I went and played in their rookie tournament in Traverse City. Had good games, a couple good fights, and ended up making main camp and signing a contract out of main camp. And I tell everyone this is like, going into that 20-year-old season, I wasn't sure if I was going to make Medicine Hat as a 20-year-old. You can only have 3 20-year-olds. We had 7 at the time, so I wasn't sure that I was going to stay there. I thought I was maybe going to get traded and have to battle for another 20-year-old spot somewhere else. Playing junior A that year crossed my mind, like close or at home. And then when going into that season, I thought, honestly, I was going to take my WHL scholarship and just go to the University of Montana here in Missoula. Like I said, pro hockey or signing an NHL contract wasn't on my radar at all. And then it all just happened like that. And here we are 7 years later.
What do you think you'd be doing right now if you weren't?
No clue. No idea. I honestly couldn't give you the first clue as to what I'd be doing.
Not a plan B guy. Neither am I, to be honest.
No plan.
So anyways, let's keep moving forward and talk about your first season, because you're in Alaska, which is that Fairbanks, the Aces? Were they in Fairbanks?
We were in Anchorage.
They're in Anchorage? Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason I thought they were Alaska, Anchorage.
Well, NCAA has the 2 Alaskas,
right?
and the Fairbanks, and then they have Anchorage.
Fairbanks has cool jerseys with the green and the whatever.
What's the one?
What's that? Say that again. You cut.
Anchorage is the green and yellow, and Fairbanks.
Okay. Those are the cool jerseys then. Forget about Fairbanks. Forget I even brought it up. So you're playing hockey in Alaska. Your travel, and you played there, for a couple of years. Excuse me. No, you didn't. Sorry about that. You played there for 1 year. Your travel was incessant. I mean, that must have been something else. You're on a plane every weekend. Just about.
Yeah. Racked up the frequent flyer miles that year. It was actually kind of nice. Went on a completely free vacation that summer. So it was good. But yeah, the travel was crazy. But I mean, being in Alaska, we flew everywhere. So it wasn't that bad. We'd just be on the road kind of for 10 days at a time, and then home for 2 or 3 weeks, and then back on the road for a week at a time. It was just longer road trips, but we flew everywhere, obviously, so it was fine.
Cam and I worked with Greg Wolf, who I believe was on that team with you when we were in Adirondack, and I think he told me once that there was one 21-day road trip that you guys had to do where you were just on the road for 3 weeks straight. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, that was crazy. And I didn't pack very well for that trip. Didn't have enough clothes, but 21 days and flying everywhere, hotel to hotel, is a long time. We played a lot of games, and it was fun though. It was something I can look back on later in life and be kind of crazy that was actually kind of a normal thing back then. But yeah, it's wild.
21 days in the ECHL, that's like almost $100 in per diem.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
We did a long one in Adirondack, and I remember I was psyched. It was $600. We were gone for 18 days, and it was amazing. But it was tough because we did the AHL first. The AHL per diem compared to ECHL was like you're in the 1%. Like that's totally. I can only imagine. I mean, Zach's been on a charter flight in the NHL.
That week in the NHL, yeah, they take care of you.
So you're bouncing back and forth, AHL, ECHL with Chicago, things like that, and then you go to England. What spouted, or to the UK? You go to Scotland first, and anyway, what spouted that decision?
I'm not sure. I mean, I knew that league. I kind of liked players that play the way I do, and I wasn't completely happy playing in the ECHL that year. I thought got a bad bounce. I got hurt coming out of training camp, and then just played the 4 games in the American League and sent down, and kind of felt like just kind of sent down, see you later, see you never kind of thing, and ended up spending the rest of the year in the ECHL. And I just kind of wanted a little bit of a fresh start and, chance to see the world, travel a little bit. And, it ended up being a really good thing for me. I got to play a bunch, played a lot of minutes, played with good players. My wife and I really enjoyed Glasgow, and, have a lot of people we're still in contact with and talk to regularly. So it ended up being a really cool thing for us.
And, you're maybe not known for your offensive production, but in England, that first year, you had some pretty big numbers, top 3 on the team in scoring. What was it that allowed you to just be such a good offensive player? Was it style of play, just your team?
I think it was just I got a really good opportunity from the start. I came into training camp pretty good shape, and the coach was a real stickler for that. So I think I got a little better opportunity right off the start, and I just kind of ran with it, and ended up being obviously the best year of my career numbers wise, and it was a lot of fun. Played a lot of minutes, power play, that kind of stuff. So it was a good year for me, and it was a lot of fun, like I said, and really loved it over there.
You had to get in shape to fit inside of that smart car.
Yeah.
All right. So I have never been to England myself. I haven't been to the UK, but I have heard from people who have been there that you don't go for the food. Like the food isn't that good. Is that true? Or is that?
Yeah, I'd say that's completely true.
Really?
Yeah. It's the fish and sticks are very good, or fish and chips. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's really good. But other than that, it's pretty average.
What did you enjoy about living there? Like it's obviously got to be nice that it's for guys who go and play overseas. This one's an English speaking country, so I imagine right off the rip that made it a little bit easier.
Yeah. Obviously that was a good easy transition to start, and then I think the main thing was just the people were so welcoming, so nice. Everywhere you went, people were so friendly, welcoming, curious as to why you were there, and so I think that was just a big part. We had a good group of teammates and families around them, so just the whole situation was really good, and we really enjoyed it.
I feel like most of the players who tell their Europe stories, their horror stories, are kind of from Russia or Eastern Europe. Did you have any of those like weird experiences that you hear so much of playing over there?
No, I can't think of anything that compares to those kind of stories, at least. No, I can't think of anything. My experience was really good, honestly. So I can't say a bad word about it.
That's Eastern Europe. So you hear about those. Like,
it's always Eastern Europe.
Eastern Europe, where like there aren't any rules and nobody pays taxes and everything's corrupt and
paying you in the back room, bags full of legal tender, whatever they have there. And
Western Europe, stay there.
Yeah. So one of the unique things about you is that you grew up in Montana, which is not a place that's known for producing professional hockey players. So I came up with a little game to test your Montana knowledge. Cam, you can play too. But I did some research on famous people from Montana. I did not find very many, but there were a few. I'm going to see if you guys know which of the people that I'm going to mention is from Montana. So the first category is NBA head coaches. Which was born in Montana? Was it Doc Rivers, Pat Riley, or Phil Jackson?
Phil Jackson.
He's gonna know all these.
Well,
I don't know. I wouldn't be
Like
so
100
sure.
people
He's-
from Montana. He probably that's personal.
Well, he's 1 for 1. Next category is professional broadcasters who were raised in Montana. Is it Joe Buck, Brent Musburger, or Marv Albert?
Brent Musburger.
Oh, he's 2 for 2.
Yeah, he's gonna know.
He's hot. He's hot. You know, if he goes 5 for 5, that's good. You know your homeland.
Send him an in-and-out gift card or something.
I've got the last one I have is tough. So we'll see if my fourth one stumps you. But NFL QB bust. Was it Jamarcus Russell, Ryan Leaf, or Akili Smith?
Ryan Leaf.
Ryan Leaf, 3 for 3. See, there's not much to go off of. Like I was looking deep for these, and Ryan Leaf's a pretty big name.
Clearly.
Yeah.
This is like the block party in Montana.
We got 3/4 of the Mount Rushmore of Montana athletes.
Yeah. Actually.
Last one I have is, which Willy Wonka character was born in Montana? Was it Mike TV, Veruca Salt, or Violet Beauregard?
I'm gonna go with the Salt. I don't know. What'd you say, Veruca Salt?
Veruca Salt, Cam? Mike TV, Veruca Salt.
Mike TV is like a cowboy kind of thing, so I'm gonna say Mike TV.
You are both wrong. It is actually Violet who blows up like a blueberry during the original Gene Wilder 1970s film.
Where's Mike
So-
TV from?
I didn't look up Mike TV's demographics. I just saw Violet was listed on the Wikipedia page for Montana.
Yeah.
It's like fictional characters. Also, Peggy Hill from King of the Hill was a fictional character born in Montana. So
Nothing on Evil Knievel?
What was that?
Nothing on Evil Knievel?
I think I saw Evil Knievel, but I didn't know, like, I couldn't think of 2 comparables for Evil Knievel. Like, there's Evil Knievel, and then there's like all the other guys for stuntmen. Like,
Barnum and Bailey.
yeah. So I think that he is on there. He's probably number 1.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I would guess.
How far? Here's a one for me only. How far? None of our listeners are gonna care. How far do you live from Tom Brady's house that I saw on his Facebook show?
He's in Whitefish, right?
I don't know.
I think he's in Whitefish. It's like little over 2 hours.
Okay.
Montana's pretty big, right? I remember my United States map that I had growing up, and Montana is maybe not a ton of people, but it's a huge state.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah, my parent, like where I grew up is 5 hours away, and it feels like forever when you're driving. It's just goes on.
Montana is one of my favorite places to Zillow. You can just find acres for like 50 grand. How do you know how your family got to Montana?
No.
Like, are you like and from a long line of Montanians?
Not a long line. My grandparents moved to Montana. I'm not exactly sure why, but they opened up a butcher shop, and then obviously my dad grew up in Montana, and then me. So not a long.
You still have the butcher shop?
No, he sold it.
That's a good, like, if you know a butcher, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
It's a good fun fact too about yourself. Like, yeah, we own a butcher shop in Montana. You never need an icebreaker again.
Yeah.
That'd be your new nickname in the NHL. You'd be the butcher.
The butcher.
Let's talk about the NHL. You know, you mentioned earlier, like, I could see myself playing in the ECHL, but I didn't really think pro hockey. Now all of a sudden you're signing an AHL deal. You know, you're becoming a pretty tenured guy. But you know, last season you weren't getting sent back down by the end of the year. Like, it probably wasn't that. So,
right.
You know, where do you see yourself at right now? Do you approach it from, I'm going to stay in the AHL this whole year? Are you starting to say, like, you know what, I am a breath away from the NHL and that's an opportunity? What's your mindset heading into what hopes to be for you at least an AHL full season?
Yeah, I think like you kind of mentioned, as I kind of accepted myself as an ECHLer, and then, kind of scratched and clawed this year. But now this summer, I am taking it to, I'm have a new belief kind of that I am a player and can be a full-time American leaguer, and I am that step away from the NHL. But, I think my next step I'm taking this summer is I'm coming for a roster spot every night, as mostly out of the lineup last year, but I'm looking to take that next step and be a regular and, push to be in that lineup every night. So personally, that's how I'm taking it. And I think I'd be selling myself short if I wasn't thinking like that.
When you're not playing every night, what is it that motivates you to keep going? Is it, the thought of getting back into the lineup? Because it can't be easy, if you're only playing, 1 out of 4 nights in the AHL.
Yeah, it's getting back in and, just trying to stay positive, finding something, just looking forward to that next chance. So I think I did a good job of staying positive this year. And, like I said, I was mostly just happy to be back in the American League. So, I'm looking to take that another step going into this season. And, all I can do is prepare myself for that.
Do you enjoy fighting?
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
I do.
So take us through how it works now. There was a time, even 8 years ago, maybe even less, that you knew who was fighting. Like, you could see whoever talking during the warm-up, and now sometimes you have to search to find a dance partner. It seems like that's part of your role, but you're not guaranteed a fight every night.
Right. Yeah, I think now there's just that handful of guys that, do fight, and, as you can see just by looking at the numbers, they aren't doing it every night like you used to. And obviously there's the 10 fight rule. So I think to find a fight nowadays, you almost have to make a big hit or respond to a big hit. There's just not as much of it. And, it's just kind of is what it is. It's the way the game's gone, and just have to adapt to it and, try and find a way to stick around.
Do you think your reputation at all has minimized the number of fights you had? Because looking at your stats from last year, in the regular season, you only had 2 or 3 fights. Like, was it an issue of like getting guys to go with you specifically?
I mean, I don't know what it was on their end. I mean, I look for fights, I obviously that's a big part of my role and I enjoy doing it. And, I think it's obviously a big reason of why I was there in the first place. So, yeah, I couldn't tell you why I didn't have as many fights, but I don't know if it's reputation or just the games I was in, obviously not playing as much as, other guys. And maybe that's one of the reasons too, but I couldn't tell you exactly why, but, hopefully that changes this coming year.
You changed your number halfway through the season last year, and you were wearing your coach Mike's old number. So, talk us through changing it and how that how that all went down.
Yeah, so I was in 23 to start the year, and I just didn't think it fit me very well. I don't know. I didn't really like the way it looked or, like it much at all. And I wasn't going to say anything, obviously, while I was on a PTO. And then when I ended up signing contract, I had a little conversation with Luke, the equipment manager, about it. And he showed me the numbers that were available. And he said he would ask Stutz, and, 44. He's like, oh, no, like no one's ever worn 44 here. We'd have to run that by Stutz. And so he ran it by him, and, I got Stutz's blessing, which was pretty cool. So I got to wear 44 for a little bit. And yeah, so that's just kind of how it happened.
He's obviously, you're going to enter the season with a bit of an unknown, but Mike Stothers was a big part of the organization for, bringing it out here. And from Manchester, for you, what was it like having a coach, and maybe you had one before him, who his career was similar to yours? He, the all-time penalty minutes leader in Hershey. What was it like having a guy like that to bounce things off of?
Yeah, it was awesome. It's always nice to have a guy like that in your corner. And, I think he respected you know, the physical part of the game and, you know, the stuff that I did. So it was, you know, it was really, really good feeling for me, knowing, you know, that I had a coach that, you know, liked the way I played at all times, and someone who had been there and done what I was doing before was nice too. You know, we could talk about things during the week at practice, or, you know, talk about things we saw, you know, laugh about some stuff, tell some stories. So it was nice to have him for sure.
Do you think, what do you think the role of fighting is going to be in the game moving forward? You know, 10 years ago, it was in a different place than it is now. And you'd have to imagine, you know, it's going to change in some way moving forward. How do you see the role of fighting and the enforcer as hockey goes forward?
I think the days of just enforcer, just fighting is gone. I would venture to say that it's gone right now. I mean, you know, you have to be able to somewhat play. Otherwise you're just not going to be there. And, you know, as far as fighting going forward, I think it'll mostly stay about what it is right now. I mean, if you look at the NHL playoffs that are going on right now, there's been a handful of fights in those games, and you know, it's not necessarily the big, you know, rough, rugged guys that are doing it. So I think that's the way it's gone the past couple of years, and I would, if I had to guess, you're gonna see more of that in the future. But you know, there's obviously going to be the bigger guys who, you know, are maybe more experienced doing it, and you know, as long as they can play and, you know, keep up, I think that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, I don't think, and I could eat my words on this, but I don't think it's going away under Bettman. Like, I think if it was going to go away, it'd be away by now. The only thing you think of is if there is a major incident that made a national thing. You know, hopefully that never happens. But I don't think the other leagues will get rid of it until the NHL gets rid of it, and I don't think Bettman will get rid of it. That's just my thought.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I would like to think that it will be around forever. You know, it's part of the game, has been for a long time, and I think, you know, just like we just talked about, what has happened in the past 10 years, it's gone down dramatically. So I wouldn't be surprised if it just stays on that course, and, you know, it stays about what it's at right now, but we'll see.
I bet you'd like it better if not everyone was wearing a visor. I can only imagine nailing it with plastic. Nonetheless, that's you know, it's a fun thing to talk about. Probably not at much length, but it is a part of the game, like you said. So
yes.
Well, I imagine you're looking forward to this season whenever it begins. Jake, we really appreciate you coming on, and I think fans will be looking forward to seeing you, whether that be from a screen or in person, hopefully sooner than later.
Yes. Yeah, me too. Looking forward to it. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you.